My father signed my death warrant with a golden pen. Not a regular pen. A Mont Blanc encrusted with diamonds, worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. He signed it slowly, deliberately, while I stood before his throne, yes, an actual throne, carved from Lebanese cedar and inlaid with mother-of-pearl. The paper itself was embedded with gold flake. Even my execution was luxury. "You have 48 hours, Amira," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He never shouted. "Kings don't need to. Renounce this Jesus, or you will be erased. Not just killed. Erased. Your name will be removed from every royal record. Your portraits will be burned. You will become a ghost." He slid the decree across his desk, Italian marble, black veined with gold, and I watched my death sentence glitter in the chandelier light. $3 million. That's what the chandelier above us cost. I knew because I'd heard him brag about it to a visiting emir. 10,000 crystals from Austria. I used to stare at it during family meetings, counting the pieces, distracting myself from the suffocating weight of being royal. I should probably rewind. Let me take you back to the beginning, back to the palace where this nightmare started. My name is Amira. I'm a Saudi princess. Or I was. I grew up in a palace with 317 rooms. Yes, I counted. When you're that lonely, you count things. Rooms. Chandeliers. Steps. Lies. Our palace sat on 47 acres in Riyadh, surrounded by walls so high you couldn't see the city beyond them. Those walls were supposed to keep danger out. I learned too late they were really there to keep us in. Every morning, I woke up in a bedroom the size of most people's homes. The bed was custom-made in Italy, silk sheets with thread counts I can't even pronounce. My bathroom had heated marble floors, a bathtub carved from a single piece of stone shipped from Turkey, and gold fixtures. Actual 24-karat gold. The faucets, the towel racks, the mirror frames, everything gleamed. My walk-in closet was bigger than a boutique. 47 designer abayas, each worth between $15,000 and $50,000. Hermes. Dior. Valentino. Custom pieces sewn by private designers who flew in from Paris and Milan just to measure me. My jewelry box, more like a jewelry room, held pieces my mother said were worth $8 million. Diamonds from South Africa. Emeralds from Colombia. Pearls from the Arabian Gulf, each one perfectly matched. I had 12 personal servants. A private chef trained in France. A driver for every day of the week. A rotating staff of maids who cleaned rooms I never even entered. Every Friday, my father held court in the Majlis, the royal reception hall with ceilings so high your voice echoed like you were shouting into a canyon. Tribal leaders and businessmen would come, kiss his ring, present gifts, beg favors. I'd watch from behind the carved wooden screens where the women sat, invisible and silent. That's where I learned the truth: we weren't royalty. We were possessions. Expensive, polished, displayed possessions. I ate meals prepared by Michelin star chefs. Breakfast was 30 dishes. Lunch, 40. Dinner, 50. Gold leaf on desserts. Saffron from Iran in the rice. Caviar from Russia. Wagyu beef from Japan. Everything tasted like ash in my mouth. You're probably thinking, how ungrateful. She had everything. Listen to me carefully. I had everything except the one thing that mattered. Freedom. I couldn't choose my clothes, those were selected based on which royal functions I'd attend. I couldn't choose my friends, those were daughters of other royals, alliances disguised as friendships. I couldn't choose my education, I was tutored privately in the palace because princesses don't go to public schools. I couldn't choose where I went, every trip required my father's signature, armed guards, and advanced security sweeps. I couldn't even choose my thoughts. 5 times a day, the call to prayer echoed through the palace sound system. 5 times a day, I'd wash, cover myself, kneel in our private mosque, gold-domed, with Persian rugs worth $250,000 each, and recite words I'd memorized before I could write my own name. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabiul Adhim. Over and over. Perfectly pronounced. Perfectly performed. Perfectly empty. I prayed facing Mecca for 23 years. And I never, not once, felt anything except the cold press of expensive carpet against my forehead. But I couldn't say that. Couldn't even think it too loudly. Because in our family, doubt was treason. Questions were rebellion. And rebellion was death. I lived in a palace with 317 rooms, and I was more trapped than any prisoner in any cell. My closet was worth $10 million, and I couldn't buy one moment of peace. I walked on Italian marble so polished I could see my reflection, a girl drowning in gold, suffocating in silk. And then, one night, everything changed. I was 23 years old. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, again. The insomnia had been getting worse. So I did what I always did, I wandered. The palace at night was a different world. Silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the distant footsteps of guards. The hallways stretched forever, lit by motion sensor lights that clicked on as you passed, then faded behind you like memories. I ended up in my mother's sitting room. She was traveling, she was always traveling, shopping in London or Paris, anywhere but the cage we called home. I stood there in the dark, surrounded by her things, and I felt it, that crushing, suffocating weight of nothingness. That's when I saw it. A book. Small. Leather-bound. Tucked behind a decorative Quran on her shelf, hidden, like it was contraband. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking. Even in the dark, I could read the gold embossing on the cover. Holy Bible. My heart stopped. Possessing a Bible in Saudi Arabia wasn't just illegal. For royalty, it was unthinkable. It was betrayal. It was suicide. I should have put it back. I should have walked away. Instead, I opened it. And the words I read that night split my world in half. That was the night I learned what powerless really meant. Let me tell you about my father. His Royal Highness Prince Khalid ibn Abdullah Al Saud. Fourth in line to the throne. Governor of the Eastern Province. Commander of a personal fortune estimated at $12 billion. And the most terrifying man I've ever known. He wasn't terrifying because he yelled. He didn't. He wasn't terrifying because he was violent, at least not with his own hands. He was terrifying because of his control. Absolute, suffocating, total control. My father's voice never rose above a whisper. He didn't need to shout. When he called my name, Amira, softly, slowly, with that particular pause after the second syllable, everyone in the room held their breath. That whisper meant someone was about to disappear. He kept a gold dagger on his desk. Not for show. For memory. I was 12 the first time he told me its story. We were in his office, dark wood paneling, walls lined with books he'd never read, a desk the size of a car. He picked up the dagger, turned it slowly in his hands, let the light catch the blade. This blade has tasted blood, Habibti, he said, using the Arabic word for my beloved. His voice was gentle. Loving, even. The blood of traitors. Family traitors. I remember my throat going dry. He smiled. Do you know what makes a traitor, Amira? I shook my head. Disobedience. He set the dagger down, perfectly aligned with the edge of his desk. A servant who disobeys can be replaced. A child who disobeys must be corrected. But a royal who disobeys? He looked at me with those black eyes, eyes that never blinked, never wavered. A royal who disobeys shames the crown. And shame, my daughter, is worse than death. I was 12. I never forgot. For 3 weeks after I found that Bible, I lived in terror. Every night, after my servants finished preparing me for bed, yes, I had servants who literally tucked me in like I was a child, I'd wait. I'd lie there in that massive bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to my own heartbeat, counting down the minutes until I was sure everyone was asleep. Then I'd lock my bedroom doors. All 3 of them. I'd check the cameras. There were cameras everywhere in the palace, for security, my father said, but the royal chambers were supposed to be private. Supposed to be. I'd learned not to trust anything. I'd pull the Bible from where I'd hidden it, inside a decorative box, inside my closet, behind a false panel I'd discovered years ago during one of my counting episodes. And I'd read by the light of my phone, under the covers, like a criminal. Because that's what I was. In my world, seeking truth made you a criminal. The words I read those nights destroyed me. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. I read that verse 17 times the first night. 17 times. Because it made no sense. God loved the world? The Allah I'd been taught was distant, unreachable, weighing our good deeds against our bad on scales we'd never see until Judgment Day. Love wasn't part of the equation. Fear was. Submission was. Islam means submission. I'd been taught that before I could walk. But this Jesus died? For me? For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. I sat up in bed when I read that. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Not by works? My entire life was works. Pray 5 times daily. Fast during Ramadan. Give to the poor, though in our case, that meant writing checks we never felt. Memorize the Quran. Wear the hijab. Lower your gaze. Obey your father. Honor your family. Follow the rules, follow the rules, follow the rules, and maybe, if you were good enough, if you worked hard enough, if you submitted perfectly enough, Allah might let you into Jannah. But this book said it was a gift? I felt something crack inside my chest. Something I didn't have a name for. It felt like hope. I managed to keep my secret for 41 days. 41 days of reading that Bible in the dark. 41 days of hiding it, terrified every time a servant entered my room that they'd somehow know. 41 days of sitting through family dinners, listening to my father talk about the corruption of the West and the poison of Christianity, while I smiled and nodded and died inside. On the 42nd day, my brother found it. Faisal. 3 years older than me. Captain in the Royal Guard. My father's favorite. And the most zealous Muslim I'd ever known. He came into my room without knocking. Royals don't knock for each other, privacy is for servants, and I was so exhausted from another sleepless night that I'd made a mistake. I'd left the Bible on my nightstand. Under a magazine. But the corner was visible. I watched his eyes land on it. I watched his face change. "What," he said slowly, crossing the room, "is that?" My mouth went dry. "Nothing. It's..." He grabbed the magazine, threw it aside, picked up the Bible. For a long moment, he just stared at it. Then he looked at me. I've seen hatred before. But the look on Faisal's face that day wasn't hatred. It was disgust. Like I'd become something subhuman. "How long?" His voice was ice. "Faisal, please. How long?" He shouted it. My brother never shouted. I was just curious, I found it, I didn't." "You didn't what?" "You didn't read it?" He held it up, shook it at me. "Do you have any idea what this is? What you've done?" Tears were streaming down my face. Please don't tell Baba, please." But he was already walking toward the door. "Faisal." I ran after him, grabbed his arm. "Please, I'm your sister." He turned on me so fast I stumbled backward. "I don't have a sister," he said. "I have a traitor living in my home, wearing my family's name, shaming my father's crown." And he left. I stood there in my doorway, watching him walk down that long marble hallway, the Bible in his hand, my death sentence in his grip. My knees gave out. I collapsed right there, silk pajamas on cold marble, and I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. The palace was spinning. My entire world was spinning. Because I knew what came next. They came for me at sunset. 2 royal guards. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. One stood on each side of me, close enough to grab me if I ran, far enough to maintain the illusion of respect. "Your father requests your presence," one of them said. His voice was flat. Professional. The voice you use when you're escorting someone to their execution and you don't want to think about it. They walked me through the palace. Past the portrait gallery, 30 generations of Al-Saud staring down at me from golden frames, kings and princes and warriors, all watching me walk to my judgment. Past the grand staircase with its crystal railings and marble steps worn smooth by centuries of royal feet. Past the majlis where my father held court. And into his private office. He was standing at the window when I entered, hands clasped behind his back, looking out at the palace gardens. The gardens where I used to play as a child, before I learned that even play had rules, had watchers, had consequences. On his desk, perfectly centered, was the Bible. "Sit," he said without turning around. I sat. The chair felt like a throne in a courtroom. I was shaking so hard I had to grip the armrests to keep my hands still. For a long time, he didn't speak. The silence was worse than screaming. Silence, I'd learned, was where my father lived. It was his weapon. His torture. Finally, he turned. "Tea?" he asked pleasantly. "This is Moroccan mint. Your favorite." I couldn't speak. I just shook my head. "I insist." He poured it himself, my father, the prince, pouring tea like we were having a normal conversation. He walked over, handed me the cup. His hand was steady. Mine was trembling so badly the tea nearly spilled. "Drink," he said. I lifted the cup to my lips. It tasted like metal. He returned to his desk, sat down, and picked up the Bible. He held it like it was contaminated. Like it was a dead animal. "Now," he said softly, "explain this to me. Calmly. Respectfully. While you still can." And I realized, this was it. This was the moment I'd been terrified of my entire life. The moment when being royal, being wealthy, being his daughter, none of it would save me. The moment when I'd have to choose between my life and the truth I'd found in the pages of that book. That was the night I learned what powerless really meant. I found it in Ummy's room. The words came out as a whisper. A coward's whisper. My father's eyebrow lifted. Just one. That single movement carried more threat than most men's shouts. "You found it," he repeated slowly. "And then?" I was curious. Curious. He set the Bible down, aligned it with the edge of his desk with one finger. Everything in my father's world had to be perfectly aligned. Perfect order. Perfect control. "And what did your curiosity teach you, Amira?" I couldn't answer. My throat had closed. He leaned back in his chair, Italian leather, custom-made, probably worth more than a car. "Let me tell you what I know. You've had this book for 42 days. You've been reading it every night. You've been hiding it in your closet, behind the panel you think I don't know about." My blood turned to ice. "You think I don't know every corner of this palace? Every secret? Every hiding place?" His voice remained soft. Gentle, even. "Amira, Habibti, I have been a prince longer than you've been alive. There are no secrets in this house. There is only what I allow and what I forbid." He stood up, walked around the desk, and I fought every instinct to run. "This Jesus," he said, picking up the Bible again, "is a prophet. Nothing more. We honor him as such. But these Christians, these Kafirs, they have corrupted his message. They claim he is God. They claim he died on a cross. They have turned a noble prophet into an idol." He dropped the Bible on the desk in front of me. It landed with a thud that echoed in my chest. Is this what you believe now? That God would lower himself to become a man? That God would die? I don't know what I believe, I whispered. Then let me help you. He walked back to the window. Tomorrow morning, you will wake up. You will burn this book in the courtyard. You will recite Shahida 100 times. You will beg Allah's forgiveness for your corruption. And you will never speak of this again. He turned to face me. Or you will be sent to your uncle's home in Qasim province. You know your uncle, yes? He runs a very traditional household. Very strict. Women there do not have servants. They do not have luxuries. They do not have opinions. They submit, or they are corrected. Brutally, if necessary. The room tilted. My uncle was legendary in our family. 3 of his wives had disappeared. Everyone knew. No one spoke of it. Do you understand me? My father asked. I nodded. I couldn't do anything else. Good. He smiled. Now go to your room. Pray. And thank Allah that you have a merciful father. Merciful. I stood on shaking legs, walked to the door, and somehow made it back to my chambers before I collapsed. I burned the Bible the next morning. The entire household watched. My father. My mother, she'd returned overnight, her face a mask of shame and rage. My brothers. The servants. Even the gardeners. They built a fire in the courtyard, the same courtyard where we'd hosted weddings, celebrations, royal gatherings. Now it was my execution site. A guard handed me the Bible. My father stood 3 feet away, watching. Throw it in, he said. I looked down at the book in my hands. The book that had given me the first taste of hope I'd ever known. The book that said I was loved, not just judged. That said salvation was a gift, not a wage. And I threw it into the flames. I watched the pages curl. Blacken. Turn to ash. And I felt something inside me die with it. My father nodded. Good. Now recite Shahida. I did. 100 times. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah Allah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. 100 times I said it. 100 times I lied. Because somewhere in those 42 days of reading, something had changed. I didn't just find information in that book. I found him. I found Jesus. And now that I'd seen him, really seen him in those pages, I couldn't unsee him. But I was too terrified to say it out loud. So I became a ghost in my own life. The days after that were the darkest I've ever known. I went through all the motions. I prayed 5 times a day in our palace mosque, gold dome overhead, silk prayer rugs under my knees, the call to prayer echoing off marble walls. I washed perfectly. I covered perfectly. I prostrated perfectly. Allahu Akbar. God is great. Subhana Rabbial Adhim. Glory to my Lord, the Most Great. Over and over and over. And I felt nothing. No, that's wrong. I felt worse than nothing. I felt absence. Like I was screaming into a void and the void was screaming back. I'd kneel there on those expensive rugs, $250,000 under my forehead, and I'd beg. Allah, if you're there, please. Please help me. Please give me peace. Please give me something. Silence. I'd fast. I'd give to charity, wrote a check for $50,000 to a mosque in Mecca, like money could buy Allah's attention. I'd memorize more Quran. I'd recite it perfectly, in Arabic, with proper tajweed. Nothing. Allah felt further away than the moon. No, further. We'd been to the moon. I was beginning to think Allah wasn't anywhere at all. But I couldn't say that. Couldn't think it. Couldn't even feel it without drowning in guilt and terror. Because if Allah wasn't real, then what was I? What was my life? Every rule, every restriction, every chain I'd worn since birth, if Allah wasn't real, then it was all for nothing. I'd been a prisoner for no reason. I'd sacrificed everything for a lie. And if Allah was real, and he was ignoring me, then I was damned anyway. Either way, I was lost. The loneliness was the worst part. I was surrounded by people every moment of every day. Servants waking me, dressing me, feeding me. Family members at meals, we ate together every day, all of us gathered around a table that sat 40 people. Guards escorting me through the palace. Tutors teaching me languages, etiquette, history. 200 people lived and worked in that palace. And I had never been more alone. Because the person I was dying to talk to, the person who understood, who knew, who could help me, didn't exist. Not in my world. I couldn't tell my mother. She'd been the one with the Bible, and she'd never said a word to me about it. For all I knew, she'd planted it there as a test. I couldn't tell my brothers. Faisal had already proven where he stood. My younger brother, Abdullah, was only 14, too young to understand, too loyal to Baba to risk. I couldn't tell my cousins, my aunts, my friends, if you could even call them friends. Every relationship in my world was transactional. Strategic. You didn't share doubts with people who could use them against you. So I swallowed it. All of it. The questions. The longing. The desperate, aching hunger for the Jesus I'd met in those pages. I ate meals prepared by Michelin star chefs, gold leaf on desserts, saffron and rice, imported delicacies from every corner of the earth. Everything tasted like ash. I wore abayas worth tens of thousands of dollars, silk so soft it felt like water against my skin. I felt like I was wearing sandpaper. I slept in a bed worth more than most people's homes, under sheets with thread counts I couldn't pronounce. I didn't sleep at all. 3 months after I burned the Bible, I had what I can only describe as a breakdown. It was 2 a.m. Again. I couldn't sleep. Again. I'd been lying there for hours, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence of the palace, that heavy, suffocating silence that presses down on you like water. And something in me just snapped. I got out of bed, walked to the center of my room, and I fell to my knees on that Persian rug, $250,000, handwoven in Iran, a masterpiece of craftsmanship. And I sobbed. Not delicate crying. Not princess tears. I'm talking gut-wrenching, body-shaking, choking sobs. The kind of crying that comes from a place so deep you didn't know it existed. Allah. I screamed it into the darkness. Allah, where are you? Nothing. I've done everything. My voice cracked. I prayed, I've fasted, I've obeyed, I've submitted, I've followed every rule, every law, I couldn't breathe. What do you want from me? The silence was deafening. I collapsed forward, forehead on the rug, and whispered, please. Please. I just want to know you're real. I just want to know I'm not alone. Please. 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 The air conditioning hummed. The palace settled. A guard's footsteps echoed in a distant hallway. But from heaven? Nothing. I laid there on that rug for 2 hours. Crying. Begging. Pleading with a God who either didn't exist or didn't care. And when the sun finally rose and the first call to prayer crackled through the palace speakers, I dragged myself to the mosque and went through the motions one more time. Allahu Akbar. I prayed in the most beautiful mosque in the kingdom. Gold everywhere. Marble everywhere. Perfection everywhere. And God was nowhere. If you've never experienced that kind of spiritual emptiness, I don't know how to explain it. It's not sadness. It's not even depression, though I was definitely depressed. It's absence. It's going through all the right motions and feeling nothing. It's speaking words into the void and hearing only echoes. It's being surrounded by religion, drowning in it, and never once touching the divine. I had everything. the wealth, the title, the luxury, the perfect performance of perfect faith. And inside, I was dying. I thought about death a lot during those months. Not in a dramatic way. Just, logically. Practically. What would happen if I just stopped? If I walked out onto one of the balconies late at night when no one was watching, climbed over the railing, and let go? Would anyone even care? Or would I just be another scandal to cover up, another portrait removed from the gallery, another name erased from the family tree? Would Allah catch me? Or would I just fall? I never attempted it. I was too much of a coward. But I thought about it. Every single day. That's where I was. That's who I'd become. A princess in a palace, with everything anyone could want. And absolutely nothing worth living for. Her name was Miriam. She was Pakistani. 47 years old. A housemaid. She'd worked in our palace for 11 years, cleaning rooms, washing clothes, disappearing into the background the way servants were supposed to. I'd probably said 100 words to her in those 11 years. Maybe less. But Miriam had been watching me. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was in the library, not reading, just existing. Staring at shelves full of books and languages I'd been taught but never felt. Arabic. English. French. All of them just words. None of them alive. I didn't hear her come in. She moved like a shadow. "Your Highness," she said softly. I turned. She was standing in the doorway, a laundry basket balanced on her hip, her eyes lowered the way servants were trained. Never look royalty directly in the eye. Never speak unless spoken to. Never overstep. "What is it?" My voice came out harsher than I meant. I was so numb by then that everything felt like an effort. She hesitated. Then she said something that changed my life. "You are looking for something." I went rigid. "Excuse me?" "Forgiveness, Your Highness." She kept her eyes down. "I only mean. I see you. The way you walk through the palace. Like a ghost. You are alive, but not living." My heart was pounding. "You should go." "I was like you once," she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. "And now," she looked up. Looked me straight in the eyes. And I saw something there that made my breath catch. Peace. This woman, this servant, this nobody in my world, had something in her eyes that I'd been searching for my entire life. "How?" The word came out as a whisper. She glanced over her shoulder, checking the hallway. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A phone. Not a smartphone, one of those old cheap ones with actual buttons. She held it out to me. "There is a file on this phone," she said quietly. "It is hidden in the calculator app. Press the calculator icon, then hold the equals button for 5 seconds. It will ask for a password. The password is 7777. I stared at the phone. "What is it?" "The thing you burned in the courtyard," she said. "But they cannot burn what is written on the heart." My hands were shaking as I took the phone. "If anyone finds this," I started. "Then I will be sent home. Or worse." She said it calmly. Like she'd already made peace with it. "But Jesus told me to give it to you. So I give it." And she left. Just like that. I stood there in the library, holding a phone that could get both of us killed, and I felt something I hadn't felt in 3 months. Hope. That night, I waited until 2 a.m., the dead hour, when even the guards grew tired, when the palace settled into its deepest sleep. I locked all 3 doors to my bedroom. I checked every corner, every shadow. I even put a towel at the base of the door so no light would leak out. Then I sat on the floor of my closet, yes, my multi-million-dollar closet, surrounded by designer abayas and shoes I'd never worn, and I opened Miriam's phone. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Calculator app. Hold equals button. 5 seconds. The screen flickered. A password prompt appeared. 7-7-7-7. And there it was. Holy Bible English Standard Version. I started crying before I even opened it. For 3 months, I'd felt like I was drowning. Like there was no air, no light, no way out. And now, suddenly, impossibly, here it was. The book. The words. The Jesus I'd met and lost. I opened it randomly. My vision was blurred with tears, but I could make out the words. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Matthew 11 verses 28-30. I read it once. Twice. 7 times. Come to me. Not earn your way to me. Not work hard enough and maybe I'll acknowledge you. Not submit and hope I notice. Come to me. All who are heavy laden. I was heavy laden. I was drowning in burdens. The burden of perfection. Of performance. Of being royal, being perfect, being terrified every single moment of every single day. I will give you rest. I hadn't rested in 23 years. And I broke. I sat there on the floor of my closet, surrounded by millions of dollars of fabric and leather and vanity, and I wept like a child. I read that Bible every night for 2 months. Every night, 2 a.m., locked in my closet, phone hidden under a pile of scarves, volume on silent, screen brightness on the lowest setting. I read the Gospels first. Matthew. Mark. Luke. John. And Jesus wrecked me. This wasn't the Jesus I'd been taught about. The Muslims say Jesus was a prophet, a good man, a miracle worker, but just a man. Just a messenger. One of many. But the Jesus in these pages was God. He forgave sins, something only God could do. He accepted worship, something only God should receive. He claimed to be the only way to the Father. He said, I am, the name of God himself. And he loved. He touched lepers. He ate with prostitutes and tax collectors. He defended an adulteress from being stoned. He wept over Jerusalem. He washed his disciples' feet. He let himself be arrested. Beaten. Mocked. Crucified. For me. I read John 3 verse 16 so many times I memorized it without trying. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. Loved. Not tolerated. Not judged. Not weighed on scales and found wanting. Loved. I'd spent 23 years trying to earn Allah's approval. Trying to be good enough, pure enough, obedient enough. And I'd never felt anything except fear. But Jesus didn't want my performance. He wanted my heart. I read the book of Ephesians one night and I actually gasped out loud. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing, it is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. Ephesians 2 verses 8-9. I read it 10 times in a row. Not a result of works. My entire life was works. My entire religion was works. Islam means submission, you submit, you obey, you work, you earn. 5 pillars. 5 prayers. Fasting. Charity. Hajj. Do this, do that, follow the rules, and maybe, you'll earn paradise. But even then, you can't be sure. No Muslim can be sure. We're taught that Allah is merciful, but also that he judges. That he might forgive, but he might not. That we won't know until the day of judgment when our deeds are weighed on scales. Live your entire life in perfect obedience, and you still might not be good enough. But Jesus said it was a gift? I sat there in my closet, phone in my trembling hands, And I felt like I was seeing color for the first time after living in black and white. This was good news. The English word clicked in my mind, this was gospel. Good news. You can't earn it. You can't work for it. You can only receive it. Whoever believes in him. Not whoever is perfect enough. Not whoever is royal enough. Not whoever follows enough rules. Whoever believes. But believing was terrifying. Because I knew what it would cost. I'd already seen my father's rage when he thought I was just curious about Christianity. What would he do if he knew I was actually believing it? I'd already been threatened with exile to my uncle's house. What would happen if I actually confessed faith in Jesus? And it wasn't just my father. It was my entire world. In Saudi Arabia, apostasy, leaving Islam, is punishable by death. Not officially, not anymore, but everyone knows. Everyone knows. You can't just stop being Muslim. You can't just choose another path. Islam isn't a religion you leave. It's an identity. A culture. A nation. You're born Muslim, you die Muslim. Anything else is treason. And for royalty? For a princess? I would be erased. Completely. My name removed from records. My face cut out of photographs. My existence denied. And if they decided I was too much of a scandal, too much of a threat to the family's reputation? I'd disappear. Permanently. That's what happened to my cousin Latifa. She tried to run away to Europe. Tried to escape. They found her, brought her back, and we never saw her again. Officially, she's living quietly in the family home. Unofficially? No one knows. And no one asks. That could be me. That would be me. If I chose Jesus, I would lose everything. My family. My title. My wealth. My home. My country. Possibly my life. So I kept reading in secret. I kept hiding. I kept pretending. I kept dying inside. One night, I was reading the book of Matthew. Chapter 10. And I came across verses that stopped my heart. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Matthew 10 verses 34 to 39. I stared at those words for a long time. Jesus knew. He knew what he was asking. He knew that following him would mean division. Persecution. Loss. He knew, and he asked anyway. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. I thought about my life. My real life. Not the golden cage, not the designer abayas, not the title. My real life was emptiness. Performance. Fear. A slow death disguised as luxury. What was I really losing if I lost that? But I still wasn't ready. I still wasn't brave enough. So I kept reading. And I kept waiting. Waiting for what, I didn't know. A sign. A miracle. A way out that didn't require me to sacrifice everything. But deep down, I knew the truth. There was no easy way. There was no loophole. There was no path to Jesus that didn't go through a cross. And I was going to have to choose. It happened on a Tuesday night. Or Wednesday morning, I guess. 3 a.m. I'd been reading for an hour, the book of John, chapter 14. Jesus comforting his disciples before his death. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? I was crying again. I cried almost every night by then. Not loud, dramatic crying, Just silent tears sliding down my face while I read about a love I'd never known, a home I'd never had. I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I closed the phone. Set it down. And I just broke. Jesus, I whispered into the darkness of my closet. Jesus, if you're real, if this is all real. I need you. I need you now. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending. I can't keep performing. I can't keep dying. My voice cracked. Everyone says you're just a prophet. Everyone says you're dead. Everyone says I'm going to hell for even thinking about you. But these words, I pressed my hand over my heart. These words are the only thing keeping me alive. So if you're real, if you're listening, if you care, please. Please. Show me. Help me. Save me. I sat there in the silence, surrounded by designer clothes and empty luxury, waiting for. I don't know what. A feeling. A thought. A sign. What I got was so much more. The air changed first. I felt it before I understood it. The temperature shifted, not cold, not hot, but thick. Heavy. Like the atmosphere itself had become solid. Like I was underwater but could still breathe. My eyes were closed. I was too afraid to open them. And then I felt it. A presence. I'd been in rooms with kings. With princes. With men who commanded armies and controlled billions of dollars. I know what human authority feels like. This wasn't human. This was power. Pure, absolute, overwhelming power. The kind of power that makes you understand why people in the Bible kept falling on their faces. The kind of power that makes you realize how small you are, how fragile, how completely and utterly helpless. But here's what broke me, it wasn't scary. It was safe. I opened my eyes. And he was there. Jesus was standing in my closet. Not floating. Not glowing like some cheap special effect. Just standing. Real. Solid. More real than anything I'd ever seen in my life. He wore simple clothes. A robe, cream-colored, unadorned. Nothing fancy. Nothing expensive. Nothing that would impress anyone in my world. But he was more regal than any king I'd ever met. My Father wore authority like a weapon. He commanded through fear, through threat, through the constant reminder that he could destroy you with a word. Jesus wore authority like a father. Not my father, a real father. The kind I'd read about in books but never believed existed. The kind who doesn't need to threaten because his love is already absolute. The kind whose presence doesn't make you want to run, it makes you want to stay. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. He looked at me. And I understood why they call it the fear of the Lord. It's not terror. It's not panic. It's the sudden, crushing, undeniable realization that you are in the presence of holiness. That everything you are, every secret, every sin, every thought you've ever hidden, is completely, utterly, transparently known. I should have been terrified. I should have been ashamed. But when his eyes met mine, all I felt was love. Not sentimental love. Not romantic love. Not even the conditional love I'd grown up with, the kind that says I'll love you if you obey, if you perform, if you make me proud. This was agape. The Greek word I'd read in the Bible but never understood. Perfect love. Unconditional love. The kind of love that sees everything you are, all the broken, ugly, shameful pieces, and says, I want you anyway. He spoke. Amira. Just my name. Not your highness. Not princess. Not the title I'd been taught was my identity. Just Amira. And I shattered. I don't know how to describe what happened next. I was sobbing, no, wailing. The kind of crying that comes from a place so deep you didn't know it existed. 23 years of pain, of fear, of performance, of pretending, all of it came pouring out. I fell forward, forehead on the floor, and I couldn't stop shaking. "I'm sorry," I choked out. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." "For what, beloved?" His voice. I can't even describe it. It was gentle and powerful at the same time. Like thunder wrapped in velvet. Like a lion purring. Every word resonated in my chest, in my soul. For doubting. For being afraid. For not being brave enough to follow you. For everything. I've wasted my whole life. I've lived in lies. Amira. He said my name again, and the weight of shame just lifted. Like he'd reached down and physically removed it from my shoulders. "I have not come to condemn you. I have come to free you." I looked up. Tears streaming down my face, nose running, completely undignified. Everything a princess is taught never to be. And he smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a formal smile. A real smile. Warm. Genuine. The smile of someone who is genuinely, impossibly happy to see you. "You've been carrying weights that were never yours to carry," he said. "Your father's approval. Your family's honor. Your culture's expectations. Your religion's demands." He knelt down, Jesus knelt down to me, and he looked me in the eyes. "I'm not asking you to carry those anymore. But if I let them go, I'll lose everything. Will you? My family will disown me. My father will, he'll kill me. Or worse. I'll lose my name, my home, Your cage," he said gently. "You'll lose your cage, Amira. Your beautiful, expensive, suffocating cage." I stared at him. "You think you have so much to lose. But what do you actually have? Possessions you don't care about? Relationships built on fear? A title that feels like a noose? A fortune you'd trade in a heartbeat for one moment of peace?" He reached out and touched my face. His hand was warm. Real. And the moment he touched me, I felt it, peace. The peace I'd been searching for my entire life. The peace I'd begged Allah for and never received. The peace that the Bible said surpasses all understanding. It flooded through me like light. Like water in a desert. Like air after drowning. "I have loved you with an everlasting love," he said softly. "Before you were born, I knew you. Before you opened that Bible, I was drawing you. Before you called my name tonight, I was already here." "Why?" The word came out as a whisper. "Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just." "You are mine," he said. And the way he said it, with such certainty, such possession, made me believe it. "You are my daughter. Not your father's. Not your family's. Not Saudi Arabia's. Mine. And no one, can snatch you out of my hand." I don't know how long he stayed. Time felt strange. Fluid. Like we were outside of it somehow. He told me things. Showed me things. Not in words always, sometimes just in knowing. Like he was downloading truth directly into my soul. He showed me my life, the real story, the one beneath the performance. He showed me all the moments I thought I was alone, and he'd been there. When I was 6 years old, locked in my room for talking back to my father, crying myself to sleep, he was there. When I was 12, listening to my father describe that gold dagger, terrified and powerless, he was there. When I was 17, forced to smile through a state dinner while inside I was screaming, he was there. "You've never been alone," he said. "Not once. I've been waiting for you to see me." He showed me the future, too. Not all of it, just glimpses. Enough to know that the path ahead would be hard. That I'd lose things. That there would be pain. But also joy. Also freedom. Also life. Real life. Not the half-life I'd been living. I won't lie to you, he said. Following me will cost you everything. Your family will reject you. Your country will call you a traitor. You'll lose your inheritance, your title, your home. There will be days when you miss your mother so much you can't breathe. There will be nights when you wonder if you made the right choice. He paused. But Amira, I will never leave you. Not ever. Not for a second. When everyone else walks away, I'll be there. When you have nothing left, you'll have me. And I promise you, I promise, I am enough. I believed him. God help me, I believed him. He stood up. And I knew, somehow I knew, he was about to leave. Panic seized me. Wait, please, don't go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to. You know, he said gently. You've always known. You're just afraid to do it. I am afraid. I'm terrified. I know. He smiled again. That impossible, beautiful smile. But perfect love casts out fear. And Amira, I love you perfectly. He started to fade. Not walking away, just fading. Like he was dissolving into light. Jesus, my voice cracked. I don't know if I'm strong enough. The last thing I heard, as he disappeared, was his voice. Quiet but absolutely certain. You're not. But I am. And that's the point. And then he was gone. I sat there on the floor of my closet, surrounded by designer clothes and old phones and secrets. The air was normal again. The temperature was normal. Everything was normal. Except me. I was changed. I'd met God. Not in a dream. Not in a vision. Not in some emotional high that would fade with the sunrise. I'd met God. The God who made galaxies. The God who spoke the universe into existence. The God who knows the number of hairs on every head and the number of stars in every sky. And he knew my name. He called me his. He loved me. And suddenly, everything else, the palace, the wealth, the title, the family, the fear, all of it felt small. Manageable. Temporary. Because I'd seen eternity. And eternity was beautiful. I picked up the phone. Opened the Bible. Found the verse he'd quoted. I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore I have continued my faithfulness to you. Jeremiah 31 verse 3. I read it 17 times. I'd probably read it before, but now it was different. Now I knew. And for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't afraid. I knew what I had to do. I knew what it would cost. And I was ready. I made it exactly 4 days. 4 days of walking through the palace like a different person. 4 days of going through the motions, prayers, meals, family obligations, while carrying a secret so big it felt like I was glowing. 4 days of peace in the middle of a war zone. My mother noticed first. We were having breakfast, the family gathered around that massive dining table, 40 seats, most of them empty. My father at the head. My brothers on his right. My mother and I on his left. Servants moving silently between us, pouring tea, refilling plates, disappearing into the walls. Amira, my mother said suddenly. Her voice cut through the quiet like a blade. You're smiling. I looked up. I hadn't even realized I was smiling. My father's eyes shifted to me. That look. The one that saw everything. Am I not allowed to smile, Ummi? I tried to keep my tone light. Casual. You haven't smiled in 4 months, she said. Her eyes narrowed. What changed? Everything. Everything changed. Nothing, I lied. I just slept well. My father set down his teacup. The sound of porcelain on marble echoed in the silence. You slept well, he repeated slowly. For the first time in months. The same months you've been wandering the palace like a ghost. The The same month since we had our conversation about that book. My heart started pounding. Baba, Faisal, my father said, not looking away from me. Go to your sister's room. Search it. Thoroughly. No. No. Baba, there's nothing. Now, my father said. Faisal stood immediately. Bowed. Left. I watched him go, my mind racing. The phone. The phone was in my closet. Hidden under scarves in a box behind a false panel. He'd find it. He'd find everything. Amira. My father's voice brought me back. Stand up. I stood. My legs were shaking. Come here. I walked around the table. Every step felt like walking to an execution. My mother watched. Abdullah, my younger brother, stared at his plate. The servants had vanished. I stood before my father's chair. He looked up at me with those black, unblinking eyes. Tell me the truth, he said softly. And I might show you mercy. I could have lied. I could have denied everything. I could have bought myself time. But I'd met Jesus 4 days ago. I'd heard his voice. I'd felt his love. I'd seen eternity. And I was done lying. I believe in Jesus, I said. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. My mother gasped. Actually gasped. My father didn't move. Didn't blink. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then he stood. He was taller than me. Broader. He stood so close I could smell the oud in his beard, see the gold threads in his thobe. Say that again, he whispered. I believe in Jesus Christ, I said, louder this time. My voice was shaking, but the words were clear. I believe he is the Son of God. I believe he died for my sins. I believe he rose from the dead. I believe he is Lord. My father's hand moved so fast I didn't see it coming. The slap sent me to the floor. I tasted blood. My ear was ringing. The room spun. You ungrateful, he caught himself. Took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice was controlled. Deadly. You would shame me like this? You would betray your family, your faith, your people for a dead prophet worshipped by Kafirs? I pushed myself up. My cheek was on fire. He's not dead. He's alive. I've seen him. You've seen nothing. For the first time in my life, my father shouted. You've been poisoned by Western lies. You've been corrupted by Baba. Faisal was back, standing in the doorway. He held something in his hand. The phone. My father took it. Looked at it. His jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle twitching. Open it, he said to Faisal. It's locked. Open it. Faisal tried. Failed. My father turned to me. Password. I said nothing. He stepped closer. Give me the password, Amira. Or I will make you regret the day you were born. I already regret it, I said quietly. I've regretted every day of my life in this prison. But not anymore. Jesus set me free. What happened next is still a blur. My father ordered me taken to the East Wing, the old wing, where guests used to stay before we built the new palace. It hadn't been used in years. The rooms were empty, dusty, locked from the outside. They threw me in one of them. 2 guards. They didn't speak. Didn't look at me. Just pushed me inside and locked the door. I was alone. The room was bare. A bed with no sheets. A window with bars. Marble floors covered in dust. No phone. No books. Nothing. I sat on the floor and I prayed. Not to Allah. Not anymore. To Jesus. I don't know what happens now, I whispered. But you told me you'd never leave me. So. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. They left me there for 3 days. No food. No water. No one. Just silence and stone and the slow realization of what I'd done. I'd chosen Jesus. And now I was paying the price. On the first day, I was defiant. Energized. I paced the room, prayed out loud, sang worship songs I'd heard once on a YouTube video I'd stumbled across months ago. On the second day, the thirst started. My lips cracked. My throat burned. I tried to sleep but couldn't. I started thinking about water. About food. About whether they were actually going to let me die in here. On the third day, I started to break. Jesus, I whispered, my voice barely working. Jesus, I need you. I need water. I need to know I didn't make a mistake. Please. Please. The door opened. Faisal stood there with a tray. Bottled water. Bread. Dates. I lunged for it. Wait. He set it on the floor, just inside the door. Baba sent me with a message. Renounce your faith in Jesus. Return to Islam. And you'll be forgiven. You'll be restored. This will all be forgotten. I looked at the water. My body was screaming for it. And if I don't? My voice cracked. Tomorrow, the family gathers. All of them. Uncles, aunts, cousins. The entire Al-Sad family. You'll be brought before them. And Baba will give you one last chance. And if I still refuse? Faisal's face was stone. Then you'll be declared dead to us. Your inheritance, $400 million, will be dissolved. Your name will be erased. And you'll be sent to Uncle Rashid's house in Qasim. The death sentence. Everyone knew what happened to women who went to Uncle Rashid's house. They went in, and they didn't come out. You have until tomorrow, Faisal said. Think carefully, sister. He left. The door locked. I crawled to the tray. Drank the entire bottle of water in 30 seconds. Ate the bread so fast I almost choked. And then I cried. Because I was terrified. Because I'm not brave. Because I'm not a hero. I'm just a girl who met Jesus and can't unsee him. Help me, I prayed. Jesus, help me. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. And I heard it. Not audibly. Not like before. But in my spirit. Clear as day. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. I knew that verse. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. I wasn't supposed to be strong. I was supposed to be weak. So he could be strong through me. Okay, I whispered. Okay. I trust you. They came for me the next morning. 6 guards. They didn't drag me, royals don't get dragged, even disgraced ones. But they escorted me, flanked me, made it clear there was no escape. They walked me through the palace. Past the portraits. Past the throne room. Past the mosque. To the courtyard. The entire family was there. And I mean entire. 73 people. Uncles, aunts, cousins, second cousins, family members I'd met maybe twice in my life. All dressed in formal attire. All standing in a semicircle around a raised platform. In the center of the courtyard was a fire pit. 12 feet wide. Flames already roaring. And on the platform, standing next to my father, was a man in religious robes. A sheikh. One of the senior clerics from the Grand Mosque. They walked me up onto the platform. The heat from the fire was intense even from 10 feet away. My father held something in his hands. The phone. Members of the House of Saud, the sheikh began, his voice carrying across the courtyard. We are gathered here to witness the judgment of Princess Amira bint Khalid al-Saud, who stands accused of apostasy. Of rejecting Islam. Of embracing Christianity. Of bringing shame upon her family and her nation. 73 pairs of eyes stared at me. The punishment for apostasy is clear, the sheikh continued. However, in his mercy, Allah allows for repentance. If the accused recants her false beliefs and returns to Islam, she may be restored. He turned to me. Do you recant? I looked at my father. He stared back, face like granite. I looked at my mother. She was crying silently, mascara running down her face. I looked at the fire. And I thought about Jesus. In my closet. Kneeling before me. Calling my name. I will never leave you. No, I said. My voice was steady. I don't recant. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My father stepped forward. Amira. Habibti. My daughter. I am giving you one more chance. This device, he held up the phone, contains the poison that has infected your mind. Throw it into the fire. Recite Shahida. Return to your family. And this will end. He held the phone out to me. I looked at it. The cheap plastic phone that had carried the words of life. Then I looked at my father. Baba, I said quietly, I have spent my entire life trying to earn your approval. Trying to be perfect. Trying to be enough. And I never was. I was never enough. My voice grew stronger. But Jesus says I am enough. Not because of what I do, but because of what he did. He died for me. He loves me. And he's worth more than this entire palace, this entire fortune, this entire kingdom. I took the phone from my father's hand. The crowd went silent. I turned toward the fire. And I threw the phone. Not into the flames. Over them. Past them. To the other side of the courtyard. I won't destroy the truth to make you comfortable, I said, turning back to my father. Jesus is Lord. And I'm done pretending he's not. My father's face went white. Then red. Then something I'd never seen before, uncertain. You leave me no choice, he said, his voice shaking with rage. Royal guards. 2 guards stepped forward. Take her to the car. She will be transported to Qasim province tonight. She is no longer my daughter. She is no longer a princess. She is nothing. The guards reached for me. And the fire roared. I mean roared. The flames shot 20 feet into the air, so hot everyone stepped back. The sound was deafening, like a freight train, like a hurricane. And in the middle of the flames, I saw him. Jesus. Standing in the fire. Arms outstretched. Looking directly at me. And he was smiling. I wasn't the only one who saw him. I know I wasn't. Because 3 people in that crowd, my cousin Noor, one of the guards, and a servant standing at the edge, they fell. Dropped to their knees like they'd been hit. My father staggered backward. The sheikh's eyes went wide. What is this? My father shouted. Jesus spoke. His voice echoed across the courtyard, and I don't know if everyone heard the words or just felt them. She is mine. The flames died instantly. Just gone. The fire pit was empty. Not even embers. And lying in the center of the pit, completely untouched, was the phone. Not burned. Not melted. Not even warm. Completely intact. The courtyard erupted in chaos. People shouting, crying, running. The sheikh was on his knees, reciting Quran frantically. My mother had fainted. My brother Abdullah was staring at the fire pit like he'd seen a ghost. My father stood frozen. Just frozen. I walked down from the platform. Walked to the fire pit. Reached in and picked up the phone. It was cold to the touch. I turned to face my father. He is real, I said. Jesus is real. And he just proved it. For the first time in my life, my father had nothing to say. The guard who'd fallen to his knees, his name was Hamza, he stood up slowly. Walked over to me. And in front of everyone, he said, "I believe." My cousin Noor, tears streaming down her face, "I believe." The servant, trembling, "I believe." 3 people. Out of 73. But it was enough. My father found his voice. "Get out," he roared. "Get out of my home. You are dead to me. All of you." Hamza looked at me. "We need to leave. Now. While there's still confusion." I don't have anything." "You have Jesus," he said simply. "That's enough. Come." And we ran. The 4 of us, me, Hamza, Noor, my cousin who I barely knew, and Amir, the servant, we ran through the palace, out a side entrance, into the garage. Hamza had access to the cars. He grabbed keys to a Mercedes, not the most expensive one, nothing that would be noticed immediately. We got in. And we drove out of the palace gates. Past the guards who were too confused to stop us. Past the walls that had been my prison for 23 years. Into the city. Into the unknown. Into freedom. I looked back once. Saw the palace growing smaller in the distance. Saw the life I'd known disappearing. And I felt no regret. Only joy. Because I'd chosen Jesus. And he'd chosen me. We drove for 40 minutes before anyone spoke. Hamza kept checking the mirrors. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Noor sat in the back seat next to me, crying silently. Amir, the servant, was in the front passenger seat, staring straight ahead like he was in shock. We were all in shock. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. Hamza didn't take his eyes off the road. "Somewhere safe. I think." "You think?" "Your Highness," he stopped himself. "I'm sorry. Amira. I don't know what I'm doing. 5 minutes ago I was a royal guard. I had a career, a salary, a future. Now his voice cracked. "I saw Jesus in that fire. I saw him. And I can't unsee him." "Same," Noor whispered. She was 19. My cousin. We'd barely spoken in years, just polite greetings at family gatherings. He looked right at me. Right through me. And I knew. I knew everything I'd been taught was wrong. Amir finally spoke. "I am a Christian." We all turned to look at him. "I'm from Pakistan," he continued, his voice shaking. "I've been a Christian my whole life. I came here for work 7 years ago. I've been hiding my faith ever since." If they'd known, he swallowed hard. "I've been praying for someone in that family to see the truth. I never thought I'd witness it." "You're the one who gave Miriam the phone," I said suddenly. "Aren't you?" He nodded. "She's my sister. She told me about you. About how you looked like someone drowning. I gave her the Bible app. Told her to give it to you if Jesus told her to." He turned to look at me, tears in his eyes. "He answered our prayers." I started crying too. "Where is she? Where's Miriam?" "She was sent back to Pakistan 2 weeks ago," Amir said quietly. "Your father discovered she'd been attending an underground church. She was deported." "Is she safe?" "Yes. She's home. She's free." He smiled through his tears. "She told me to tell you, if I ever got the chance, Jesus is worth it." We ended up at a small apartment in a rundown neighborhood on the outskirts of Riyadh. One of Amir's friends, another Pakistani Christian, lived there with 5 other workers. They took us in without hesitation. 6 men in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they gave us their rooms. They slept in the living room. Fed us. Protected us. "You're our sister now," one of them said simply. His name was David. "What's ours is yours." I sat on a mattress on the floor, no silk sheets, no designer anything, just a thin blanket and a pillow, and I felt rich. We stayed there for 2 days. Hiding. Planning. Praying. Hamza had connections, other guards who were secretly questioning Islam, people who'd heard whispers about Jesus. He made calls, sent encrypted messages, tried to find us a way out of Saudi Arabia. Because we all knew, we couldn't stay. My father wouldn't let this stand. A princess converting to Christianity, escaping the palace, taking others with her? It was the worst scandal imaginable. He'd have the entire royal guard searching for us. And when they found us, when, not if, we'd be disappeared. Permanently. On the second night, we heard the news. David came back from work, he was a construction worker, and his face was pale. "It's on TV," he said. "All the channels." A royal announcement. He turned on the tiny television in the living room. We all gathered around. And there was my father. Sitting in the throne room. Looking directly into the camera. "It is with deep sorrow that I announce the death of my daughter, Princess Amira bint Khalid al-Saud." My breath stopped. "She passed away suddenly 2 days ago due to illness. She will be buried in a private ceremony. The family requests privacy during this difficult time." The screen cut to a photo of me. A formal portrait from 2 years ago. I was wearing a black abaya, a formal hijab, looking properly royal. Looking dead. "He killed you," Noor whispered. "He erased you." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. I was dead. Officially. My father had declared me dead on national television. Which meant if anyone found me alive, I wouldn't be arrested. I wouldn't be put on trial. I'd simply be made to match the official story. "We have to leave," Hamza said urgently. "Tonight. Now." "How?" I asked. "My passport is at the palace. My ID. Everything. I don't exist anymore." "Then we get you a new existence." That's when Amir told us about the underground. There was a network, he said. Christians, missionaries, aid workers, diplomats, people who helped believers escape persecution in Muslim countries. They had safe houses, forged documents, secret routes across borders. "I've only heard whispers," Amir admitted. "But there's a woman. Sarah. American. She works at a medical clinic in Riyadh. She's helped others get out. I can contact her." "Do it," Hamza said immediately. It took 6 hours. 6 hours of waiting, of jumping at every sound, of watching the news loop the same story over and over. Princess Amira is dead. Finally, at 3 a.m., there was a knock at the door. We all froze. "It's okay," a voice called from outside. English, with an American accent. "Amir sent me. My name is Sarah. I'm here to help." David checked through the peephole, then opened the door. The woman who walked in was maybe 40, wearing scrubs and a headscarf, carrying a medical bag. She looked exhausted. "You're Amira," she said, looking directly at me. I nodded. She smiled. "I saw what happened. The fire. The phone. The guards on their knees." She shook her head in wonder. "Jesus is moving in this country. I've been here 8 years, and I've never seen anything like it." "Can you get us out?" Hamza asked. Her, yes. Maybe one other person. But 4? She looked around at all of us. "That's harder." "Just get her out," Noor said immediately. "She's the one in the most danger." "No," I said. "We all go, or I don't go." Sarah studied me for a long moment. Then she sighed. "You royals. Always so dramatic." But she was smiling. "Okay. Here's the plan. It's dangerous, expensive, and probably insane. But it's the only option." The plan was this: Sarah had connections at the German embassy. One of the diplomats was a Christian, a secret believer who'd been helping refugees for years. If we could get to the embassy, we could claim asylum. Germany had strict policies about religious persecution. If we could prove we were Christians fleeing for our lives, they'd protect us. But, Sarah warned, the embassy is in the diplomatic quarter. There are checkpoints. Security cameras. Royal guards everywhere. And Amira, she looked at me, your face is on every screen in the country right now. You're supposed to be dead. So how do we get there? I asked. She opened her medical bag. Pulled out a nurse's uniform. A hijab. A medical face mask. An ID badge. You're going to be my assistant, she said. We're transporting a critically ill patient to the embassy for emergency evacuation. The patient is having an allergic reaction and needs immediate international care. Who's the patient? Hamza asked. Sarah looked at him. You are. You're going to fake anaphylactic shock. We'll put you in the back of my ambulance, hook you up to fake IVs, make it look serious. Amira will be the nurse. I'll be the doctor. We'll have papers, forged, but good ones. What about us? Noor asked. You too, Sarah pointed at Noor and Amir, will go separately. On foot. Through the back streets. David will guide you. You'll enter the embassy through the service entrance. I have a contact there, a janitor. He's one of us. He'll get you in. It was risky. Insane, like she said. But it was all we had. We left at 4:30 a.m. when the city was at its quietest. Sarah's ambulance was old, but it had legitimate medical markings. Hamza lay on the stretcher, an oxygen mask over his face, fake IVs in his arms. Sarah had given him something to make his face flush, his breathing rapid. I wore the nurse's uniform. The hijab covered most of my face. The medical mask covered the rest. The ID badge said Fatima al-Rashid. A nobody. A ghost. We drove through empty streets. Past checkpoints where guards waved us through, ambulances don't get stopped. Past the royal quarter where I'd lived my entire life. Past the life I'd lost. I didn't look back. We were 5 minutes from the embassy when Sarah's phone rang. She answered it, listened, and her face went pale. What? I asked. Roadblock ahead, she said. They're searching every vehicle. They're looking for you. How do they know? Someone talked. Someone always talks. She was driving faster now, taking side streets. We have to abort. No. I grabbed her arm. We're so close. Amira, if they catch you, they'll kill you. They'll kill all of us. Then we pray, I said. We pray and we trust Jesus. Sarah looked at me like I was crazy. Then she smiled. You know what? You're right. She took a deep breath. Okay. We're doing this. Everyone pray. We turned the corner. And there it was, the roadblock. 5 police cars. 10 officers. Checking IDs, searching trunks, scanning faces. Sarah slowed down. Rolled down her window. An officer approached. Where are you going? German embassy, Sarah said in perfect Arabic. Critical patient. Anaphylaxis. He needs immediate evacuation. The officer looked in the back. Saw Hamza on the stretcher, gasping, his face red. ID, he said. Sarah handed over her documents. He scanned them. Looked at me. Her too. I handed him the forged ID. My hands were shaking. He looked at it. Looked at me. Back at the ID. And I prayed. Silently. Desperately. Jesus. Jesus, please. Please. The officer's radio crackled. All units, suspect spotted in District 4. All units respond. The officer looked up. Handed back our IDs. Go. Quickly. And he waved us through. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't believe it. We drove the last 2 blocks to the embassy in silence. At 5:47 a.m., we pulled up to the gates. The German diplomat was waiting for us. Hans. 50-something, gray hair, kind eyes. Come, he said simply. You're safe now. We ran inside. Through the gates. Into the embassy building. Foreign soil. International territory. The Saudi government couldn't touch us here. Noor and Amir were already there, safe. David had gotten them in through the service entrance. The 5 of us stood in the lobby of the German embassy, surrounded by strangers in a foreign building, hunted by one of the most powerful families in the world. And we were free. I fell to my knees and I wept. Not sad tears. Grateful tears. Thank you, I whispered. Jesus, thank you. We stayed in the embassy for 11 days while they processed our asylum claims. 11 days of interrogations, interviews, paperwork. 11 days of watching Saudi news report that we were terrorists, traitors, criminals. 11 days of seeing my father's face on TV, denouncing me, calling me mentally ill, claiming I'd been brainwashed. On the 12th day, Hans came to us with passports. Germany has granted you asylum, he said. You're free to go. There's a flight to Berlin tonight. That night, we boarded a plane. The 5 of us, a princess, a guard, a university student, a servant, and the faith that bound us together. As the plane took off, I looked out the window. Watched Riyadh shrink below us. Watched Saudi Arabia disappear into the darkness. And I thought about what I'd lost. $400 million. Gone. My title. Gone. My family. Gone. My mother would never speak to me again. My father had declared me dead. My brothers, would they mourn me? Miss me? Or would they forget I ever existed? My country. My language. My culture. Everything I'd known for 23 years. Gone. But I'd gained something so much greater. I'd gained a father who would never abandon me. I'd gained brothers and sisters who loved me for who I was, not what I represented. I'd gained freedom. Real freedom. Not the freedom to choose which designer abaya to wear, but the freedom to choose life. Truth. Jesus. I lost a palace with 317 rooms. I gained a kingdom that will never end. I lost billions of dollars. I gained riches that rust and thieves can't touch. I lost my earthly family. I gained the family of God. Someone once asked me if I regret it. If I miss my old life. And honestly? Yes. Sometimes. I miss my mother. I miss her so much some days I can't breathe. I'll smell oud or see a certain shade of gold and I'm back in her sitting room, watching her get ready for dinner, listening to her laugh. I miss Arabic. I miss hearing it spoken around me. I miss the poetry of it, the rhythm. I miss dates. Real Saudi dates, fresh and sweet. I miss feeling like I belonged somewhere. But then I remember, I was dying there. Slowly. Luxuriously. But dying. And Jesus gave me life. So no. I don't regret it. Not for a second. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Berlin now. Let me tell you what it looks like, 700 square feet. IKEA furniture. A kitchen the size of my old closet. 1 bathroom. Linoleum floors. Windows that look out onto a busy street where trams rattle past every 10 minutes. There are no servants. No gold fixtures. No marble anything. I clean my own bathroom. I cook my own meals, badly, I'm still learning. I take the U-Bahn to work. I shop at Aldi. I wear jeans from H&M. My entire apartment could fit inside my old bedroom 3 times over. And I have never been richer. Because every morning, I wake up and I'm free. Free to pray to Jesus out loud. Free to read my Bible on the train without hiding it. Free to go to church on Sunday, an actual church, with other believers, singing worship songs that make me cry every single time. Free to be myself. Not a princess. Not a performance. Not a title or a scandal or a shame to be hidden. Just Amira. Daughter of God. Loved. Known. Free. The 5 of us stayed together for the first 6 months. We lived in a refugee center while our asylum claims were processed. 5 of us in 2 small rooms, sharing meals, sharing fears, sharing this impossible new life. Hamza got a job in security. He's working at a corporate office now, using his training from the Royal Guard. He's also attending Bible college at night. He wants to be a pastor. Can you imagine? A former Saudi Royal Guard, preaching the gospel. Jesus has a sense of humor. Noor enrolled in university. She's studying medicine. She wants to go back one day, not to Saudi Arabia, but to the Middle East. To help people. To share Jesus with others like us. She's braver than I'll ever be. Amir got his family out. It took 8 months, but Sarah and the Underground Network helped him bring his wife and 3 children to Germany. I met them last month. His oldest daughter is 7. She drew me a picture of Jesus. I have it on my refrigerator. We still meet every week. Wednesday nights. We have dinner, usually something one of us burned, and we pray. We share what God is doing. We remind each other that we're not crazy, that what we saw was real, that Jesus is worth everything we gave up. We're family now. Not by blood. By choice. By the blood of Jesus. I got a job at a refugee center 4 months ago. I help process paperwork, translate documents, connect people with resources. Most of the refugees are from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. Many of them are Muslims. And some of them are like I was. Searching. Questioning. Desperate for truth. Last week, a woman came in. She was from Iran. Her name was Nasreen. She'd fled because her husband was arrested for converting to Christianity, and she knew they'd come for her next. She sat across from me, tears streaming down her face, and she said, "I don't know if any of this is real. I don't know if Jesus is who they say he is. But I can't go back to Islam. I tried. I tried. And there's nothing there." I looked at her. This woman who'd lost everything. Who was alone in a foreign country, grieving her husband, terrified of the future. And I knew exactly what to say. Jesus is real, I told her. I know because I've seen him. I've met him. And he's right here, right now, waiting for you to come home. She gave her life to Christ that day. Right there in the refugee center, in a gray office with flickering fluorescent lights and coffee-stained carpet. And I got to witness it. I got to be part of it. That's my life now. Not palaces. Not gold. Not billion-dollar inheritances. This. Leading people to Jesus. Watching them encounter the same love that saved me. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever done. But I need to be honest with you, it's not all beautiful. There are hard days. Really hard days. Days when I see a mother and daughter laughing together in the grocery store, and I have to leave my cart and go cry in the bathroom because I miss my mother so much it physically hurts. Days when I hear Arabic on the street and my heart just breaks. Because I can never go back. Never. If I set foot in Saudi Arabia, I'd be arrested. Executed. My father made sure of that. Days when I look at my bank account, I make €12 an hour, and I remember that I walked away from $400 million. Days when I wonder what my life would have been like if I'd just stayed quiet. Just kept my head down. Just pretended. Days when the doubt creeps in and whispers, was it worth it? Was he worth it? And on those days, I do what Jesus taught me to do. I remember. I remember that night in my closet when he appeared. When he called my name. When he looked at me with eyes full of love and said, "You are mine." I remember standing in that courtyard, watching the fire roar, seeing him in the flames. I remember the phone, untouched, unburned, impossible. I remember Hamza falling to his knees. Nor crying. 3 people saying I believe in front of 73 who wanted to kill us. I remember the officer at the roadblock, waving us through seconds after the radio called him away. I remember every miracle. Every provision. Every moment when Jesus proved he's real and he's here and he keeps his promises. And I remember what he said that night in my closet. Following me will cost you everything. But I promise, I am enough. And he is. He is enough. On the good days and the hard days. In the joy and the grief. In the freedom and the loss. Jesus is enough. Now let me talk to you. Yes, you. Watching this video. Wherever you are. Whoever you are. Maybe you're royal like I was. Maybe you're wealthy. Maybe you're powerful. Or maybe you're none of those things. Maybe you're a servant. A student. A nobody in the world's eyes. It doesn't matter. Because Jesus doesn't see titles. He doesn't see bank accounts. He doesn't see status. He sees you. The real you. The one you hide from everyone else. The one who's scared and searching and desperate for something real. And he's calling your name. If you're watching from a palace, if you're living in luxury but dying inside, I was you. I know what it's like to have everything and feel empty. To be surrounded by people and feel completely alone. To go through all the motions of faith and never touch God. I know what it's like to wonder if there's more to life than this. To feel like you're suffocating in silk. To be a prisoner in a golden cage. And I'm telling you, there is more. So much more. Jesus is real. He's not just a prophet. He's not just a historical figure. He's not just a good teacher. He's God. The God who made you. The God who knows you. The God who loves you with a love so fierce, so complete, so unconditional that he literally died to prove it. Your wealth can't save you. Your title can't save you. Your family name, your reputation, your good works, none of it can save you. Only Jesus can. And he's worth more than every palace, every fortune, every kingdom on earth. I gave up $400 million for him. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. If you're Muslim, if you've been taught that Jesus was just a prophet, I understand. I was taught the same thing. For 23 years, I believed it. But then I read the Bible. And I couldn't deny what I saw there. Jesus claimed to be God. He forgave sins. He accepted worship. He said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Either he was telling the truth, or he was a liar and a blasphemer. But he can't be just a good prophet. C.S. Lewis said it best, Jesus is either Lord, liar, or lunatic. There's no middle ground. And I'm telling you, he's Lord. I know it because I've met him. I've seen him. I've felt his love. I've watched him do the impossible. And he's calling you too. Islam taught me to fear God. Jesus taught me to know him. Islam taught me to earn salvation. Jesus taught me it's a gift. Islam taught me to submit. Jesus taught me to be free. If you're afraid, if you know following Jesus will cost you everything, I understand that too. I was terrified. I'm still terrified sometimes. But here's what I learned, the thing you're most afraid of losing is probably the thing that's keeping you in prison. For me, it was my family. My identity. My security. And when I finally let go, when I finally said, "Jesus, you're worth more than all of this," I discovered something incredible. I didn't lose everything. I traded everything. I traded a palace for a kingdom. I traded billions for riches that will never fade. I traded an earthly family for an eternal one. I traded slavery for freedom. I traded death for life. Was it hard? Yes. Is it still hard sometimes? Yes. But would I go back? Never. Not for all the gold in Saudi Arabia. Not for all the power in the world. Because I've tasted freedom. I've experienced love. I've met Jesus. And once you've met him, nothing else compares. Jesus isn't asking you to clean up your life first. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's not asking you to have it all figured out. He's asking you to come. Just as you are. Broken. Scared. Doubting. Desperate. Come. He'll do the rest. He'll forgive your sins, all of them. He'll wash you clean. He'll give you a new heart. A new identity. A new life. Not because you earned it. Not because you deserve it. Because he loves you. And his love is bigger than your family's expectations. Bigger than your culture's rules. Bigger than your country's laws. Bigger than your worst sins. Bigger than your deepest shame. His love is enough. I want to lead you in a prayer. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. Jesus doesn't care about the words, he cares about your heart. If you're ready, if you're tired of running, tired of pretending, tired of trying to earn what can only be given, then pray this with me. Jesus, I don't have this all figured out. I don't know everything. But I know I need you. I've been trying to save myself. Trying to be good enough. Trying to earn my way to God. And I'm exhausted. I'm done. I believe you are who you say you are. I believe you're the Son of God. I believe you died on the cross for my sins. I believe you rose from the dead. I believe you're alive right now, hearing this prayer. Forgive me. For my sins. For my pride. For trying to do life without you. I give you my life. All of it. The good, the bad, the broken. Take it. It's yours. Save me. Change me. Make me new. I'm yours, Jesus. Now and forever. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, if you meant it, then welcome home. You're not alone anymore. You're part of the family of God. You're a child of the King, not an earthly king, but the eternal King. And nothing, nothing, can separate you from his love. Not your family. Not your government. Not your past. Not your fears. Nothing. I don't know what will happen next for you. I don't know what it will cost. I don't know how hard it will be. But I know this, Jesus will be with you. Every step. Every moment. Every impossibility. He'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. He'll never let go. And one day, one glorious day, you'll stand before him face to face. And all the suffering, all the loss, all the sacrifice will fade away like mist. And you'll finally be home. My name is Amira. I'm a former Saudi princess. I lost a palace with 317 rooms and gained a mansion in heaven. I lost $400 million and gained treasures that will never fade. I lost my earthly family and gained the family of God. I lost my life and found life abundant. And it was worth it. Every single second. Jesus is real. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is enough. And if he can save a girl like me, a princess in a golden prison, drowning in lies, desperate for truth, he can save anyone. Even you. Especially you. Come home. He's waiting.